It's 6:30. Good morning, I'm Ian Crouch with Hunter News. Charlton MP Pat Conroy has blasted the Abbott government for failing to move on same-sex marriage. The coalition parties last night voted against allowing MPs a conscience vote and to maintain the status quo on the issue following a marathon 6-hour meeting. Pat Conroy says it was a missed opportunity.
I just think that Mr Abbott and the majority of the coalition have proven that they're 40 years behind the Australian people. The vast majority of the Australian people want marriage equality, and they want it yesterday, and this parliament is well behind community views.
However, Tony Abbott has left the door open for a referendum or plebiscite to be held on gay unions after the next election. A man's been charged after he allegedly armed himself with a knife and a pistol during a dispute with two men at Katara last Saturday. The 33-year-old handed himself into police at Toronto yesterday. He's been refused bail and will face Newcastle local court next month. He's accused of threatening and chasing the men with a knife before later pointing a gun at the driver of a car he'd crashed into. Hunter New England Health has been raking in parking fees. The Herald reports staff, patients and visitors paid a record $6 million to park their cars last financial year. Revenue is tipped to rise even more when a free shuttle bus stops running next month between Hunter Stadium and the John Hunter Hospital. The state government is calling on Hunter recreational fishers to improve fish habitats in the region. Grants are now open for projects between $2,000 and $40,000, with the New South Wales Recreational Fishing Trust overseeing distribution of funds. Parliamentary Secretary for the Hunter, Scott McDonald, says it's a good way to get fish back on track after recent destruction to the coast.
There was quite a lot of damage through the April superstorms, as we know, in the bays and along the coastal line. So I think, people who are keen on fishing, the recreational fishing industry groups will be looking at what they can do to restore some of that damage.
Grant applications close on October 16. Maitland Council has been left with a huge clean-up bill 4 months on from the April superstorm. Modest estimates have come in at $7.5 million, but this figure is likely to rise. Road repairs continue to be the biggest cost to Council. University of Newcastle researchers are calling on young men and women to join a study which examines the extent of junk food addiction. Emerging research suggests eating foods high in sugar, salt and fat can trigger reactions in the brain similar to those occurring in drug and alcohol addiction. Dietetics researcher Kirili Percy says the study will hopefully shed light on common junk food myths.
So what we're trying to do is to look at food addiction further, see what kinds of foods are associated with it and how many people in the Australian population may have a food addiction, so that then we can come up with some ideas of how we may be able to treat these people as well.
Sport for our sponsor, Warners Bay Sports Club, Fishing Expo, September 13.
The Newcastle Jets have been edged out of a dream start to the season, going down to Perth 4-3 in a gripping FFA Cup penalty shootout. Goals to David Carney and Labano Haliti kept the boys in play at 2 points apiece after 120 minutes, but it was Glory who won the day on penalties, netting 4 from 6 to the Jets' 3, Hungarian midfielder Georgi Sandor landing the decisive blow. The Knights are pulling out all the stops ahead of Saturday's clash with the Tigers as they fight to ditch the wooden spoon before skipper Kurt Gidley calls time on the NRL. Cade Snowden's set to return from concussion as Jake Mamo makes his way back from the New South Wales Cup, while Gidley prepares to shift to the halves. Hooker Danny Levi says they'll need to give their all.
Gidley been a legend around the club, so that's something, me personally, I really don't want him to leave on. This week it's a really big game for us, and hopefully we can come away with a win.
And it's a nervous wait for Gloucester basketballer Damien Martin as he's treated for a calf injury which could threaten his FIBA Oceania Championship campaign. That's sport. I'm Belinda de Lasheras.
To a new RFM News Time, 26 to 7.